Well, 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 bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. It's actually been about a year since I last sat down in front of the camera, so please forgive me for any awkwardness. We're gonna be doing a good old classic Attack on Titan tier list. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you would probably know that Attack on Titan is basically my favorite thing in the entire world. I'm going to be ranking every single character, even the stupid ones. I already organized out the characters that I don't really remember or don't have super strong feelings for. I'm just gonna go in the order that you see here, so let's get right into it with Porco. Little piggy, little piggy. Okay, so there's not much to say about Porco. I really liked seeing his perspective and how confused he was when all the Eldians from Paradise were attacking him and he was just like, what in the world? Falco is actually one of my favorites from the Marley crowd. I'm a sucker for a sweet sunshine character, and his willingness to protect the people that he loves is just so cute. I would throw myself into a Titan's mouth for you. I was hoping for a little bit more from Colt when he was introduced. I really liked him and I thought he had a lot of potential, and I think he got a fair ending, so I still love him despite his mistakes. Next is Gabby. I think this is going to be one of my controversial opinions, but Gabby is one of my favorite characters, so I would throw myself into a Titan's mouth for her. I was very surprised when I realized how many people actually just really hated Gabby. I think most people use Sasha's death to explain why they hate her so much, and I understand because I loved Sasha, but this was war. Of course she's gonna try to fight back. Eren would have done the same thing. I just think that her character development is one of the most compelling out of all of the people, especially in season 4. So next is Annie. She's had quite a bit of character development herself, I would say. The female Titan arc may be a contender for my favorite overall arc in the entire series. Then she was kind of just gone for 4 years. We didn't hear much from her, so I'm gonna put her I still love you despite your mistakes. Then the kids, of course, I was sad when they died. And we get to Bertha. Berutoto. I never liked him, so I'm gonna put him in deserves the chair. Marcel. I like Marcel's backstory, and I liked what it did for Reiner's backstory as well. Oh, this freaking dude. His name is Gross, and he is disgusting. Disgusting. So I will feed him. We have our first will feed you to a Titan myself, and I think that's perfect for him, and I think I'm really happy that that's actually where he ended up. Then we have Zackley, and I think it's perfect to give him his own chair. Historia. Alright, I loved Historia's arc in season 2 so much. I loved seeing what she did, and I loved hearing her backstory, and honestly, I relate to her a lot in those earlier seasons. Even though she didn't do much after becoming a queen, I still have a special place in my heart for her. So I'm gonna put her in, would throw myself into a Titan's mouth for you. Plus, we share a birthday, so. Rod, her father. Ugh, I hate him. Feed him to the Titans. Alright, Lady Tiber. I was super excited for the Warhammer Titan fight, but the animation was a little bit weird on that one. It just felt chunky and it didn't flow very well, so I was a little disappointed with it. Still cool. I think the animation from season 4 part 1 was not as good as it was in season 4 part 2. So I'm hoping that in season 4 part 3, it's going to be really good. And I hope that the animators had enough time to actually work on it. Wooly Tiber, I did not like him as a person, but I think his character was kind of necessary for the story that they wanted to tell in that moment, so I'm gonna put, I would be a little sad if he died because he did have a cool death scene, I will say. Miss Azumabito. I was iffy about her also, but I love that she humiliated Flock. Kaya was part of one of my favorite storylines in the entire show, first with Sasha and then with Gabby in season 4. I think some of you could really learn forgiveness from her. Next is this guy, and he did get a chair, so I'm gonna feed him to the Titans, Ugh. Historia's mom. Worst mom in Attack on Titan. at least in the Paradise moms, hated her. She deserves to be chomped up by a titan. Although I did feel a little bit bad for her because I don't think she really had many choices in the things that happened. There was a power dynamic between her and Historia's father. Next in line for horrible parent is Grisha. And you know what? Horrible father, but amazing character. So he will be put into I Still Love Him Despite His Mistakes. And then we have some actually great parents. Carla, my beloved, I love you so much. And Mikasa and Levi's moms too. They deserved so much better than what they got. Grisha's parents, however, deserved the poo machine. They were too afraid to do anything when their little girl was killed. I don't think they were as bad as Reiner's parents though, because they were actively spewing hatred more than basically like anyone else. So they belong in the Titans' mouths. Okay, next is Ymir Freckles, but Founder Ymir isn't on this list, so I'm gonna put them both in the same category. I loved both of these characters and I thought both of their backstories were very tragic and interesting. Once we learned more about Founder Ymir's backstory, Freckles Ymir made a lot more sense, and I thought that was really cool. So I'm gonna put them in I Love Them Despite Their Mistakes, but I might have put Founder Ymir in the one above because I did think her story was really cool and I felt bad for her. Next is Zeke. My hatred for Zeke knows no bounds. Great character, but I love to hate him. And Yelena, I'll put you next to your freaking weird crush. I don't know. I don't even know what that is. It's just weird. Onyankopon didn't make a single mistake, but I love him, so he's going in this tier. And you know what? These Titans that Hanji kept, I'm not gonna lie, I did get a little bit sad when they died. So now we're on to some main characters, and we got Eren to start off. Eren's gotta be at the top of my list. I love him. I've made a lot of videos about Eren before and how much I adore his character, so I won't go too deep into it now. Love him so much, and I find his story to be absolutely heartbreaking. His story is a tragedy, and honestly, we're not supposed to root for him at the end. We're just supposed to understand why he does what he does. I would throw myself into a Titan's mouth for him. And next is Armin, and as much as I love Eren, Armin is my second favorite character of the entire series. I'm a sucker for the sweet sunshine characters, and even though he changed by the end, I still have a soft spot, and I always admired how hopeful he came to be despite everything that happened. Hanji my dear, Hanji my beloved. Hanji is one of the characters that when I first watched Attack on Titan back in like 2015, Hanji was in my top 5 favorite characters, maybe even top 3. I think my love for them will always stay. And manga spoilers, I was depressed for like a month after reading their death. It affected me more than any other death scene in any other media. We have Jean, and Jean, I would throw myself in a fire for him. I mean, why did I say that? No, I would throw myself into the Titan's mouth. Would I throw myself into a fire for him? No, I don't think so. I think I'd rather be chomped up by a Titan than burn alive. Anyways, I don't know why we're talking about this. The longer Attack on Titan went on, the more I grew to love him, and I can't help but tear up a little bit when I think back to the selfish jerk that he used to be. Him and Gabby had my favorite character developments of the entire show. Him and Gabby, I think. There are probably some other ones if I really get to thinking. And Connie too, honestly, he's up there. All of the 104th just has a special place in my heart. Next is time for Levi! Yay! He's on my shirt for the occasion. Levi is my absolute favorite character. My most beloved, my dear, and he's probably my favorite character of any show of all time. I recently did a character analysis of him a few months ago where I go very deep into his character. Go give that a watch if you're a fellow Levi enjoyer like me. Next is Louise, who I was really excited to see her back, but kind of sad by how she turned out. Which was the point, I guess. Louise is kind of the direct opposition of Kaya because they both appeared early on and they both were saved by one of the main cast, Sasha and Mikasa. Kaya learned how to forgive and how to change her perspective, whereas Louise, she didn't change her mindset. She was stuck in her mindset, and ultimately that led to her death. Her supposed death, I guess. Next is Flock, and I hated this little frickin' cockroach chicken from the moment he came on screen. And unlike Zeke, who I love to hate, Flock is a good character who I hate to hate. It's honestly unbearable anytime he's on screen. Honestly, maybe it's because he was really mean to Armin. He deserves the Titan. But I think his ending was good. I loved seeing Mikasa slash him. I do have to give him props for holding on the whole way though, you know. Finally, we're at Sasha. We've been talking about her this whole time. I would throw myself into a Titan's mouth for her. You know, Sasha had a really nice voice. I always loved when she was on because I loved the sound of her voice. I don't really know why. Anyways, there's a video of me crying about her death somewhere on the internet, so go watch that if you want to see me talk more about her. So this one is Erwin, and I think you guys are gonna hate me for this one also, but I never really liked him. There's nothing that he did to make me dislike him. He's just one of those characters I find myself rolling my eyes at, I guess. I acknowledge him and I acknowledge what he's done for the story and the characters, but I'm pretty glad that Levi chose Armin instead of him. I'm not heartless though. I was sad about his death. It was a good death. It was worthy, I think. Moblit needs more recognition. He was a great character. He was one of my favorite side characters, but my absolute favorite side character was Nifa. She was so cute, little strawberry girl. I wish we got to know her more, and I wish she was in some of the flashbacks. Mike or Mike? I don't really know which one it is. I think he had one of the most gruesome deaths in the series. Like, I would not want to die how he died. Next is all of Levi's squad, and you know what? They were all very sad, of course, but I think Petra's death. There's just something about her death that still sticks with me. Next is Kenny, and Kenny did give us some pretty cool scenes, but I do wish we could have seen more of his backstory. I would love to see some of his rebel days before he became tame, if you can call that tame. Then we have this freaking dude who was trying to kill him in the beginning, and he needs to have a serious talking to about emotional regulation, so I'm gonna give him the chair. Hannes is another death that really sticks with me. It's just another time where Eren thought he could do something but was ultimately useless in preventing the deaths of someone that he loved, though it did lead to one of the most awesome scenes that changed the trajectory of the show. You know, I liked Marco, but his death didn't have the same effect on me as it did for other people. Like, at first, yeah, it was really devastating, but it's been years. It's been like 10 years now. I'm pretty much over that one. I don't really remember these two guys, but looking at their faces instills me with anger, so I'm gonna give them to the Titans. I'm gonna feed them to the Titans. Reiner. This betrayal hit hard, and I went through pretty much every single emotion that Eren went through also. I loved Reiner at first, then I hated him, then I came to understand him. He was another parallel to Eren who was also just a tortured soul, and I really appreciated him in the final act. So next we have Piku. I really love Peek. I think she's so cute and adorable and sweet, and I think she's really smart. I would have loved to get more in depth with her also, but you know, it is what it is. And it looks like we've saved the best for last, because here we have Mikasa. I'm gonna put her with her boys. I just love this trio so much. Okay, Armin is my favorite of these three, but Eren and Mikasa are pretty much tied. I just love them both so dearly. I appreciated this friendship so much. I could say a lot about Mikasa as a character. She's fiercely loyal and strong, and she really grew into her own person. I also find it very poetic how both of the Ackermans killed both of the Jaegers by beheading them. We've reached the end of this list, but I'm gonna kind of organize my favorite characters, at least the main cast. Okay, so this is my ranking of the main cast. Of course, you got my favorite Levi Armin. I do want to say, though, that there is a gap between Ymir and Perutoto, because I love Ymir and I don't really like Beanbag Chair that much. After Levi, Armin, Eren, and Mikasa, my list becomes a little bit interchangeable, but right now, this is what it is. It's really difficult to choose which ones I like the most. Honestly, this video makes me want to rewatch Attack on Titan the whole thing through, so maybe I'll do some videos rewatching it, or maybe I'll wait and rewatch it in like 5 years and maybe I'll forget everything by then. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, comment the fairy emoji and I will see you in my next video. Bye!